Hello again, and welcome. Michael Pizzolla here. I'd like to welcome you to this edition of the ValueCapping Rant. This is the 2022 Kentucky Derby edition. It's hard to believe the Derby is here already, and I'm excited to share my thoughts on the Derby with you to show you how I take a race apart using the principles of value capping and ValueCapper. But I know a lot of you who may have tuned in are not interested in that. So here you go. You know, all you're interested in, which is fine, which I get it. Oh, what is that ValueCapper software like? And what is Pizzolla like? Which, you know, fine. Look, here's a big shocker. Zandon and Epicenter are at the top of the line, the top two morning line favorites, right? Messier, which is not too far behind in morning line favoritism. So I've got 18, well, not that many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 15, 16 horses above random. Means it's a really messy race. So my conclusion is it's a pass for a serious bet, for a primary bet. Oh yeah, here are all of the colts above random. And again, Zandon and Epicenter are kind of obvious horses. You know, it's remarkable to see commentators going on and on about which one's better. Doesn't matter. It's not going to be a price. It's not going to be value. I don't think this is a great betting race. But, I mean, you see that red line on the right side? That's how many horses are above the random of 20 horses. It's a mess. It always is a mess, I know. Now, as a primary bet, it's a pass. I did find a way to dig out some secondary bets. Look, I'm as much a racing fan as anyone else. I love the game. I love the personalities. I don't keep up on it in detail, but I still have tickets from when Seattle Slew swept the Triple Crown. I get that. So, of course, I want to find a recreational bet. I think I found a way to do it. I'm also going to show you, which is what I emphasize on a lot of these big day videos, is that the value often on these big days are in the undercards. And I found two races, one at Churchill and one at Turf Paradise, on Saturday that might be interesting. So, those of you who just wanted to find out what I was doing with the race, what ValueCapper showed up with, great. See you. Thank you so much for joining us. For the rest of you, let's dive deeply. And before I do, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Michael Pizzolla. I've been teaching this great game and writing about this great game for 30 years and change. I'm author of the best-selling handicapping book, Handicapping Magic, co-author of the classic Pace Makes the Race. I'm the creator of the original online racing forum. Not going to get into it. The website's there, posttimedaily.com. Creator of the ValueCapper software, which is what I'll be using in this video. You can learn more about it at ValueCapper.com. There's a free video course for you and all. So let's get into it. What's this value capping about, Michael? Find a horse that's got a shot, and if it's a price, you bet it. Well, not quite. The premise of value capping is that a different approach must be taken to the modern game. Look, everyone's got good numbers these days, or good enough numbers. Well, I think the Buyers are much better than the Bristnet numbers, and maybe Pizzolla's numbers are not bad, but they're all good. And they're certainly all good enough. Now, some of them have their strengths and their weaknesses, sure. But the point is, the public is more tuned in. Back in the 90s when no one had these pace numbers, boy, oh boy, you could find massive horses with massive advantages in pace that would come and pay $20 sometimes. Now you're lucky to get $5.80. So, knowing that the reality of the modern game, what value capping does is it takes a different route of attack That is what value capping the principles. Bet horses you like that the public shouldn't, preferably running against vulnerable favorites. You wait for your price. And you let the bet make you. Many of you heard me say this. Those of you who haven't, it's a felt sense that comes out of practice. Like sometimes you say, This is why any software, any number, anything, they have to be cojoined with the living, breathing human who is looking at that information. And that's the advantage that we have. Okay, so even though I say this every time, it's not a touting video. Never touted horses, never will. This is how I look at the race. You bet what you want to bet. I've never sold selections, even though I've been asked many, many times to do so. I'm here to demonstrate the principles of value capping. That's it. How I take a race apart, how I decide whether to pass or not. And as I told you, as a primary bet, no, on the Kentucky Derby. Secondary recreational bet, sure. 2, I'm making this on Wednesday morning. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 4 days before the race. I don't have scratches. I don't have weather changes. There are 2 also eligibles in the race, which we won't know for sure in or out until Friday morning. So I've looked at the race both ways with those AEs in and out. Doesn't make a difference. Again, software numbers, they're tools. They're not crystal balls. They're not, the turban and the crystal ball like Johnny Carson used to have. There's no such thing that I found. Any potential value bet is price dependent. That means if there's no price, if there's no overlay, there's no bet. I don't care what. Sometimes I'll post a race on our Wizards forum, and I posted a race last Saturday. I guess that would have been April 30th. And it was a nice $29 winner at Belmont. And, someone wrote me and said, yeah, well, what about the other 3 races that you posted? And one of them just flat out didn't run. The other 2, I said, look, I will only take this at 10 to 1 or whatever it was. And the horses didn't come up to that. And so for me, that's very easy. No price, no bet. Yeah, well, it didn't run. Well, I don't know if it's going to run or not. All I know is before the race, at 10 to 1, that would be a great value play. At 4 to 1 or whatever it got bet down to, not a great play. But you see the difference? This is value capping, in my opinion, is about making good value bets, not necessarily trying to predict the outcome of the race. Because to do that with certainty is, what's the word I'm looking for, impossible. Okay. I typed Kentucky Derby 2022 into an internet search engine, and boy, oh boy, the headlines of the articles were amazing. Here are the 2022 Kentucky Derby contenders, and here's where they will finish from 1 to 20. Wow, that's chutzpah. I'm sorry. Whew. 20 lightly raced colts squished in, 150,000 people screaming at them, and you're gonna know 1 through 20. And by the way, the first 3 or 4 horses were the morning line favorites. So, all right. Okay. End of sermon. Let's take a closer look at, those of you who are still with me, at the 2021 Kentucky Derby. And let's look at the pace analysis. And to start, I want to look at historical pace analysis. This is a précis of, or a track profile of the last few Kentucky Derbies run on a fast track since 2012. And from the bottom up is I'll have another California Chrome, Faro, Nyquist, Authentic, and then Medina Spirit, which, yeah, I know. Just take a look. I put little red squares around the percentage early energy of the winners of the Kentucky Derby, and you'll notice how consistent they are. 51 and change. It's what I call the champions expenditure. They can sit just off the pace and have enough to come home. Now, the last two derbies were won in virtually wire to wire fashion. If you want to look at Mandaloon, and by the way, right in ValueCapper, this is all right in ValueCapper. It makes it from the files you download. Anyway, you can include the second place finishers, and there's the colt to finish second, 5101. So it's right in there. And if you look at the place horse in the 2020 Derby, even though that was run in September, and it's not quite anyway, it's 51.78. So this is a very consistent percentage early. What does that do? Well, I prefer a horse, a colt, that has something close to that in the way it expends its energy. I mean, look how consistent this is. Okay. Now, this is fast track derbies. I don't know. I think the weather forecast calls for no worries in case it's sloppy. Big surprise, it's a little earlier. Orb closed from 18, 19 lengths back, but the others have been like really close to the pace, justifying the maximum security. If it's wet fast, whatever that means, it's going to go earlier. So basically, we're looking for horses not too far behind and has got that 51 and change energy, percentage energy. And look, if you don't know what that means and you think this is too technical and over your head, it's not. It's not. I mean, if the numbers are way over 52 and a half, it's an early horse. If it's around 52, it's an early presser. If it's 51.5 to 52, that's kind of the champion's place, and that's a presser to late presser. And then if you go below 50, that's a really late horse. Okay. Looking at those track profiles, 8 of the last 11 Derby winners were 2 lengths or less behind at the second call. 9 of the last 11 were 2.6 lengths or less behind at the second call. So, I mean, yes, historical, how did the race shape up? How was it going to come out? All I know is this is what the track lately in the last 10, 12 derbies is preferring in the way the colt runs the race. Okay, so that's the historical. What's the projected pace scenario in the 2022 Derby? Well, here's acupressure, which takes, oh gosh, I could literally do a 20-hour video series on what all this does. It's the first time, I think, positional and velocity factors that go into the projection of a race been put together. It's uncanny the way it shows up. Now watch. I said that. I've obviously jinxed myself. It'll be nowhere. So acupressure looks and it says, look, Taiba and simplification should be out there early. Looks like Charge It may be, back, and Pioneer of Medina may try to get involved at some point. Pardon me. Interestingly, there are 4 colts that their wins have come on the lead. Now, I'm a little bit less than confident when I say, if I'm looking at $5,000 claimers at Penn National and it says need to lead and they've tried several times and the only time they've won is when they're on the lead, I'll pay attention to that. However, in a race like this, these are champions. And so they probably be able to come off the pace a little bit. We don't know. And then there are 5 at least closers that ValueCapper through acupressure has shown. Now, again, Rattle and Roll may not be in the race. We have Barber Road, the colt that I had when he finished second at 10-1, and the last video, one of the last videos I did. So, in other words, the consensus or the projection that acupressure did with this is that it's unknown. Don't know. Don't know. So there's no clear pace scenario. And by the way, rather than go through all of the 20 colts, I did the work for you. Here's the bottom line. No colt has run that optimal percentage that we've seen, percentage early, percentage energy, that we've seen in the last dozen derbies consistently. Some of them hit it, some of them have been around it. But, again, we have lightly raced colts, so who knows? Now, you don't need me or a computer program to tell you Zandon and Epicenter are obvious colts in this race. I mean, look at Zandon. It's the target in the race. Long story. Best last race number, my number, the master pace number. Just won the bluegrass coming way off the pace. If I had anything to say, I might say, well, look at those percentage earlies. They're in the 49s for the most part. Maybe a little late for how the track prefers the track profile. Epicenter. Now, Epicenter is a little better suited to the track profile in that, it tends to be up closer to the pace. On the lead, just off the lead, just off the lead, on the lead, and so forth. And it's 4 for 6 lifetime. And now, it ran a really good number last time. So, here's one of the unanswerable questions. And by the way, there are dozens of these unanswerable questions, but here it is. Epicenter started his career at Churchill, didn't do so wonderfully well in its first race, laid him off, got a big win. Okay, 152.4, 152.7. Then it goes to Fairgrounds, 149.3, 148, 146.9. And then in its last race, where it wins the Louisiana Derby, it makes this huge move up, 158.4. Now, is it possible that improving young, obviously young because they're 3-year-old colts, horses can make that kind of huge improvement? Yes. Is it also possible that because they don't run the Fairgrounds mile and 3/16 very often, that when you try to make numbers for these races, you could be off? I certainly don't have that degree of hubris to say that my numbers are perfect and this is the mathematics and all that. Yeah, they're really good. But is that a dummy number? I don't know. I don't know. But I didn't run it. Okay, and that's what it comes up with, and that's a big number in this field. So we got Zandon and Epicenter. The question is, can we find value elsewhere? Now, if I'm looking for a primary bet, if it's a daily kind of, I'm at the book and I'm, looking for some bets I can make in advance because I got to go home and take care of family members and all the rest of it. I'm certainly not betting this race, but, I like to have something going. Now, again, you make too many of these recreational bets, you're going to destroy your bankroll. So I don't commend it. But here you go. I noticed something. Several colts in this race ran big master pace numbers in runaway maiden wins. I mean, several of them. I'll show you an example of Messier. If you look at Messier's numbers, again, on my scale, 150, 154, 147, 154, and then boom, 158, runaway maiden win. And then there's White Abadio. Huge runaway in its first lifetime start, gets a 158, hasn't matched anywhere close to that. 155 is not so bad, 152, 153. Charge It. Look at how much bigger a number it earned in the maiden win that it had at Gulfstream, 157.8, but the other numbers are not there. So what I did was I took all of these colts that had that pattern, and I excluded those numbers that looked out of whack. Would I be doing this in a normal race? No. but it's the Derby. I'm looking for some kind of way to make sense with, with longer priced horses. What am I going to do? Otherwise, I'm just going to tell you what I told you at the top of this video. It's a pass. The horses that kind of get the numbers, even though I tried to get all the others, is Epicenter and Zandon. I probably prefer Epicenter and da-da-da-da-da. Okay, so looking a little deeper, here's a possibility. When I took out those big runaway maiden wins with numbers that looked aberrant to me or out of whack, this is what I'm looking at. Now again, Epicenter and Zandon still come up, as you'll notice, but then I get Zozos up there, Messier, of course, and Smile Happy. Now here's the interesting thing. I, very early on, pioneered something called the reversal protocol. By the way, Epicenter and Zandon are still on top. What the reversal protocol says is that when two horses run against each other in their last race and one beats the other, the horse that got beaten is often a better bet in the next race. And, back in the old Perco days, because everything had to come out perfect with the printouts and everything. So we used to change the beaten lengths on a horse that got beaten in its last time. I know, looking back, it's silly because really what the deal is a horse that gets beaten by a length or two. The public will say, "Oh, this horse just beat this horse. What are you going to? You can't bet that horse. Though it just got beaten. This horse got his number." Right. That's the way the public kind of looks at it. So here's the interesting thing. Epicenter and Zandon obviously just won their last races. Zozos ran pretty well against Epicenter. That's the reversal protocol for 2, reversal protocol for winner. I'm not going to get into what that is. It just makes it easy to see. And Smile Happy ran really well against Zandon. Okay. Let's take a look at Zozos. Zozos lost by only 2.5 lengths to Epicenter. Numbers pretty good. The numbers are improving. 153, 154.9, 157.3. All right. It's going to be should be a long price. And I think, it's Brad Cox. I know he's got 2 other colts in the race. I can't think of whom. Smile Happy only lost 2.5 lengths to Zandon. This is a bit of a closer as well. I think they both came down the stretch. I think Smile Happy had the lead for a little bit and then gave it up. But I don't know, 20-1 morning line, big number in our contention line. This colt might not get bad. So you see, by doing that, now admittedly, I had to kind of jerry-rig it by taking out some of those big numbers on the other horses. But right out of the box, this is what it looks like. There's still the reversers to the morning line favorites, meaning Zozos and Smile Happy. When I remove those potentially aberrant races, they look pretty good. But hear me, it's still a pass race for me. Sorry. Come here for, I think this horse is an absolute lock, and then when it doesn't win, in your next videos, well, obviously it gone into trouble. It had a little bit of hay fever. This is a pass race for me. Pass. Will I throw some money as a recreational bet? You betcha. I'll take Zozos at 20-1 and up. Smile Happy at 30-1 and up. I'll be very happy. I'm also going to take some exactas. Zozos and Epicenter, because they ran against each other. I'll take that exacta box, and and here's where I'm looking to make some extra money. A straight exacta Zozos Epicenter. Okay. I'll do the same thing with Smile Happy Zandon. A box and then a straight exacta, hoping that the reversal race reverses. Okay. So that's my look at the Derby. On big days, those of you who stuck with me all this time, um, good value opportunities often show up in the undercards, and not just the Churchill undercard, but the other tracks. Now, I don't have every track's final file, but I did find a couple. The race right before the Derby, the 11th race at Churchill on May 7th, this coming Saturday, I've got 4 horses above random. You see that big, thick red line there? There's only 4 horses above it, as opposed to a gajillion in the Derby. Michael, that's very, very scientific, isn't it? Gajillion? Yes, it's more like 17, but okay. You get it. This is a much more manageable race. And my eye is drawn to Mission, 6-1 going to 9-1, 10-1 morning line. In other words, the contention line, what we think the public should do with the race based on the cold information from the past performances, is right in line with what the morning line maker thinks. If I look up on top, it's a VIP plus, it's a 5-star reverser. It'd take me weeks to go into all of this, and this is why there are like 200 videos on the ValueCapper comprehensive training course, because I have to explain all of this. I don't have to explain it right now. And we've got another one of these reversal situations where the morning line favorite is on top, Cheryl Speed, the 6, and Mission just ran against that horse, and it finished 5th. Oh my God, how terrible! It lost to the morning line favorite 6 by only a length. Okay, I'm done. I think this is, I don't know if it's going to win or not, but if I get anything near 100% overlay, like 12-1, I'm taking this. But I need the price. If it goes off at 9-2 and he loses, well, I bet him at 9-2, and he lost. Do me a favor, don't bet any of these. Okay, I'll bet it at 12-1. I won't bet it at 7-1. Okay, that's my criteria. Now, if the prices are there, I'll take the reversal again, and this is just a little technique. It's nothing earth-shattering, right? I'll take the 2 horses from the reversal race, the 5 and 6, in an exacta box, and I'll take a straight 5-6 in an exacta box. Maybe I'll throw the 3 in, the other horse above the gap, in a trifecta box as well. All right. Now, from the nosebleed of the Kentucky Derby with its, astronomical purse and all the gala pageantry of the day in the history, here's a much more typical race. I've got a nice tight little grouping of 5 horses at the top. This is the 7th race at Turf Paradise. It's a 5-furlong race, so, who knows? All I know is at the top, again, horses coming out of the same race. I didn't plan this. It just happened. Bounty of Gold, second morning line favorite, the fulcrum in the race. And Bounty of Gold beat the 1 Cherokee Papoose last time. You notice that Cherokee Papoose, 6-1 on the ValueCapper line. So in this race, a horse we like because it's second on the line, that the public shouldn't, just 20-1. And it's kind of sort of confirmed by the morning line maker who made it 10-1. We'll see. Sometimes the morning line maker is closer. Sometimes our contention line is closer. It's just the way the racing goes. When we run it through a database of a couple of 100,000 races, the contention line that we have in ValueCapper tends to be a little more predictive. But, you can't say that about any one specific race. Every one specific race is unique, and the public will do different things with it. Anyway, so Cherokee Papoose, again, only lost by a length to the top horse. Okay, the two horse, or the filly or mare, or whatever she is the fulcrum in the race. And by the way, if you're interested, I did a whole video on the fulcrum. But this mare, Cherokee Papoose, is 1-for-1 at 5 furlongs. So I'm done. I'm just going to set my price. So Turf Paradise 7th on Derby Day, I'd look to the 2 Cherokee Papoose at 8-1 and up. I'm going to have an exacta box with the 1. So I'll take the 2-1 exacta box and straight. And there you go. That's my Derby day. A recreational bet on the Derby. Strictly recreational. Zozos, a few dollars at 20 to 1. Smile Happy, a few dollars at 30 to 1. I'll use the reversal winners, Zandon and an epicenter. So I'll take Zozo's epicenter, and I'll take Smile Happy Zandon. Looking to have a little bit of a recreational bet. And those 2 undercard races, kind of like, so I'll be betting those. And assuming I get my price, they'll be, realer bets. they'll be my more typical bets, whereas the Kentucky Derby will be more of a recreational play, just to play the Derby. Look, do I think in the long run it's better not to take those? Yes. Why? I think it can break down your discipline. This game, unfortunately, or fortunately, requires patience and discipline. No one wants to hear that. Everyone wants to hear, woohoo, look, I got this magic program and I found this horse. Yeah, sometimes it's like that. Last weekend, I had that $29 horse at Belmont on Saturday, and had a you think I would remember the price? I think it was a $137 horse in the 9th at Woodbine on Sunday. And yes, I've got tickets for that. I don't open my kimono in public, but I will show this to my wizards who are on the Wizards forum in an upcoming video. And I always post my tickets, that kind of thing. But even so, I can't get too excited about that. They were just run-of-the-mill plays. Kind of surprised I got $137 on a horse. But from ValueCapper, it was pretty obvious. And the thing that makes me most happy, other than, cashing a nice ticket, was that a bunch of people on the Wizards forum noted that they had that. And that makes me happier than any horse I could possibly have. Anyway, there we go. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I can't say thank you enough. Speaking of the Wizards Forum, those of you who are involved with it, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for supporting the work and for supporting each other. I hope each and every one of you has the best of luck on Derby Day. I hope that you get your prices, and I hope you will stay calm and vigilant to see if the public is making any mistakes in their betting. And that quietness, that vigilant, watchful attitude will let you recognize the signs of when that bet is making you. Thanks so much again, and I'll see you next time.